Good evening and welcome to another date on Journalist Hangout. It's a Friday, March 16, 2018. It's also the 27th day of Lent. And so as you hunger and thirst after righteousness' sake, may every of your wish for self and country come true. Now, today on the program, Borno State shuts female boarding schools in 25 local government areas over Boko Haram, just as reps probe sex abuse and teenage pregnancy at IDP camps. And later on, federal government says it has no money to fix our refineries. I'll be hanging out with Babatunde Babajide. Well, is the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Jide, welcome.
Thank you
And
so
of course, Godwin Asukwo. Come on. Asukwo James is here. I don't know. Okay. So we are ready for the trip. I hope you are. Okay, then, the northeast region of Nigeria and the environs face a massive social and civic disruption. Secondary school education in the region runs the grave danger of interruption with the shutting of female boarding institutions in 25 of the 27 local government areas of Borno State. Now, relative to this is the reported incidents of sexual abuse and teenage pregnancy at internally displaced persons IDP camps. The picture here is that of a mad confusion. Jide, we can only say if education in the northeast region is on the brink of disruption, it's more or less a recipe for disaster.
Yes, it is. It's not actually the female boarding schools alone that have been shut. The male schools, the boarding facilities.
Okay, for both sexes.
Yes, for both sexes have been closed. And the risk is that in the north, boarding facilities are being used to boost school enrollment figures. So if you can't get this, if you cannot operate boarding schools, chances are that a lot of the parents will be reluctant to even let their children go to school. I remember Jigawa State, Sule Lamido introduced boarding facilities up to primary school level.
As an incentive?
Yes, just to get parents to let their children go to school, because you are certain that those children will be fed 3 times a day. So part of the burden of catering to their children have been taken up by government. So, but in this case, security is the issue. Federal government college, Buniyadi, at night, Boko Haram struck in the school and slaughtered those children while they were asleep. And that's not the only school. Even in that same Yobe, Boko Haram had attacked schools in Potiskum and other places. So, with what happened this last time in Dapchi, we were talking about how a Nigerian army officer, Colonel Kayode, stopped Boko Haram's plan to invade a school in Gombe State, Federal Government Girls College, Malala, by getting this government to evacuate all of those girls in one night.
Okay.
They mobilized all their...
There must have been an advance information.
Yes, they got information. So the state government mobilized all these Gombe lines, these buses. They went to the school. They told the children, don't take anything. And then they moved them to the state capital. It's the same thing now that the Borno State government is trying to do, because the government has said right now it is only in 2 local governments, Maiduguri and Biu, metropolitan area, that we can allow boarding facilities to run, because anything can happen.
Well, Asokwa, this also is another recipe for disaster, if you ask me. Bio and the Maiduguri will become congested. I don't know if you understand what I mean.
But if we are talking about education, and then the safety of the children, we shouldn't be looking at the congestion, for now. Because I know that
what I mean is evacuating students male, female,
exactly
from 25 local governments around the state to just 2 city centers. You obviously.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the governor is trying to, I know for the past 1 month or so or more, he has been building schools, and not just small schools, but big schools that would accommodate these girls and the boys.
Across the state?
Yes,
No,
across the state, but the safe areas, which is the Biu and Maiduguri. And so I know they would have gotten the numbers of these children for them to move into these schools, the facility. So we shouldn't be looking at if there will be congestion for now, because definitely if they close schools in 25 local government.
But to me, it's a contingency arrangement.
Well, for
there
now,
if lasting, I understand.
The lasting, if you're talking about lasting solution,
yeah,
it is only when the state is safe. That is when we have peace. Right now, the governor can boldly say that, okay, we are closing schools in 25 local government. The only 2 local government that I can guarantee safety is Biu and Maiduguri. And I think I'll support and I'll back the governor for that, because if he believes that the 2 local government can be well secured, and then these children come to these 2 local government and get quality education, then we should be able to support
safety first before quality.
Safety. Yes. No, because definitely if they are moving to this local government, he knows that the 2 local governments are safe. Okay. Then every other local government, not that they are not safe, but not entirely safe for these children.
Okay.
Because the children, what they are trying to forestall is for these children to be adopted again. It can happen, because even if you go to Borno, which I know Jide has gone several times, you can't move without escort. And even if you move, sometimes you move with escorts and the soldiers are being ambushed.
Yes.
So it is a very dangerous terrain for now. So if the governor is saying, let's move these children to this local government, I think we should support him.
Right. Jide, we continue to live in an environment threatened by our actions and or inactions. So now we are curing the effect. What about curing the cause?
The way to cure the cause is to defeat Boko Haram.
Exactly.
And I can't give a guarantee that Boko Haram can be defeated
just like that
easily. I can't give that guarantee. One of the groups, we are told one of the groups is likely, I mean, it does not see the idea of negotiation for peace as something strange. That's the Mama and Nod faction. But the other faction led by Abubakar Shekau does not want to negotiate. You can't even bring up the issue of negotiation with a man who at best is a psychopath, who enjoys killing people.
So what does he want? That question will come all the time.
It is the 13th century version of Islam that he wants to impose on people here.
Okay, set up a caliphate.
Set up a caliphate and then be allowed to run the areas under his control based on strict application of Islamic law.
Sharia law.
Yes. So that's what he wants. And there are a few footages that we have seen of women being flogged in the Boko Haram controlled areas and all that. So, but who would willingly allow Boko Haram to do what pleases it in the part of Nigeria that it controls? No government will agree to that. absolutely, no government will agree to that. So that is what he wants. The other people, yes, they want government to stop, to moderate the bombing of their people and all that, because it was one of the conditions that they gave when they seized those Unimed lecturers, that look, the intensity of your bombing, you must reduce the intensity of your bombing. But the problem that comes with that is we don't know who inhabits what location. It's always been said that the Mama Noor faction or the Abanawi faction operates in the Lake Chad area. But for some of their actions, you will know that that is not entirely true. Because when they seized those lecturers, it wasn't in the Lake Chad area. They were seized in Magumeri local government. Then we are hearing also that they are behind the abduction of the Dapchi schoolgirls. That is also not in the Lake Chad area. In fact, it's so far away, it's in Yobe State.
Asoko, Dapchi is 27 days old now, and we are counting. And so you're asking, even as Chibok is yet to be laid to eternal rest, this one is here. So the night is a long one for the country.
Exactly. Well, since the president is saying that he has taken the option of negotiation, you know, and with the meeting he had with the parents, I know they are not sleeping. The presidency is not sleeping. They want to do everything within their power to make sure that the Dapchi girls are being brought back, as well as the Chibok girls. Because the Chibok girls, since 2014 till now, we keep counting and counting, 1,000 and so on. We don't want the Dapchi girls shouldn't be like that. And where I frown at some of the statements of the president is for him to begin to, you know, make comparison between this present administration and the last one.
Yeah.
Face your own presidency. Leave the others. Leave the other president. They've done theirs, they've gone. Face your own. Your own is now 27 days. Who tells you that yours won't be longer? You know,
and for the records, you know, just so the viewer will understand, 1,432 days going for,
you know, for
Chibok
girls, you know, and this is 27, you know. So he should concentrate on the Dapchi girls. How do we bring them back? Then already the Chibok girls is still a problem to him, because whether you like it, the government is saying it's a continuum. So he's taking the burden like a father. So he must take that burden and make sure that he solves it. So it's a big problem, it's a big challenge for us. And it shows that the security agencies, they have to be on top of their game. Whether the police, whether the Air Force, the Army, all of them. Because the girls need to come back. And I think the only, just like I'm trying to look at the Borno State governor's idea of, you know, bringing everybody into 2 local governments, as well as how this is going to affect education in the north. It's going to be a big disaster.
Let's look at the second leg of this topic, which is saying members of the House of Reps are probing reported sex abuse at IDP camps, which are direct fallouts of this insurgency. And of course, teenage pregnancy adds to the problem.
Yes, but this
and
is
the
not,
trauma.
This is not entirely new. Some time ago, it was reported that security operatives attached to the IDP camps demand for sex in exchange for food from the women in the camp. Sometimes to allow them to go out of the camp, either to moonlight or something. They also demand for sex, you know. And some of the people in the camp, some of the women in the camp, they've lost their widow. They are now widows. They've lost their husbands. You know, the children have been orphaned. Some of them now go out of the camp to indulge in prostitution. Some of the young boys in the camp have also taken to drugs.
How they get the supply is also...
They go out of the snake, out of the camp, and then come back. They have no home in the city center. So they go out. Sometimes when they bribe the security operatives, they allow them to go out. And then when they go out, they go and buy drugs. Then some of the young women amongst them take to prostitution outside of the camp.
To keep body and soul together?
Yes. Some of the policemen and soldiers are said to sleep with them in exchange for one favor or the other. So this thing was reported. And I remember the governor of Borno State saying that the worst vices in the north are alive and well in the IDP camps. And that was what pushed him to say sometime ago that he was going to close the IDP camps by May last year. And I said on this program that he cannot close. Where do they go? Especially IDPs in Borno. Some of them became IDPs even as early as 2 years ago.
It's a spontaneous emotion.
Yes, out of frustration, he said that because for someone who has invested so much on those IDPs, some of the things happening in those camps really riled the governor, and he felt, what is going on? I'm going to have to close those camps. But Borno State is not the same thing as Yobe State or Adamawa, where IDP camps have been closed. The intensity of the problem, the enormity of the problem in Borno State is more. You go to Borno State, local government headquarters are controlled by Nigerian troops. But outside of the headquarters, the interland are held by Boko Haram. So that's why when people say, oh, Boko Haram does not control any Nigerian territory, I sometimes ask those people, is this a case of ignorance or just plain not fearing God? Because anyone who is resident in that area or is familiar with that area knows that the interland, those boys are everywhere. It is the local government headquarters that we secure. In fact, the UN reported that soldiers protecting the local government headquarters, that's on some occasions, supplies are dropped for them via helicopters because the roads are not safe.
Again?
That's why I'm not surprised that this decision was taken. If you were sure that security was guaranteed, nobody would take this kind of decision.
Yeah. Still talking about the IDP camps, the report came that Amnesty International became interested in it and talked about the level of inhuman treatment. Again, what should government do if the people you entrust the security of the camps to are the ones behind these untoward actions? Because nobody seems to have been punished yet.
Exactly, and I'm even surprised. I know there was a time the IGP was told to investigate these allegations, because I know the Human Rights Watch as well as the UN, they've been accusing the security operatives as well as the Civilian Joint Task Force of this sexual violence and abuse in the IDP camps. The IGP, that is the Inspector General, you know, who most times he refuses to take the president's order.
Also, we are told.
We are told, you know. Set up a panel, and I know some arrests were made. And after the arrest, what next? Nothing. We've not heard who was prosecuted, what are the names of the people. We know a prison official was arrested. We know 2 police officers, a soldier, and all that. And that is just one camp. Because we know we have several camps, IDP camps, cut across Borno State. And these allegations, this sexual violence is happening, and it's still happening up till today. I know why the reps, they are very interested, is because of a petition sent by a movement, a group. And they listed and detailed, they have evidence of how these things happen, and with names and people giving documentary evidence of these allegations.
Yeah.
So the government shouldn't just sit down. They need to also, it's not something the executive should say, oh, maybe the legislature, they want to get at us. No. It is something they have to work together to see how they can nip the crisis in the bud. Because if not, it will keep going on. Because it's like, I want to put this like this. I want to say, this is a crisis in a crisis. They are already in a crisis situation. And then you are bringing another crisis into it.
And largely man-made.
And it's man-made.
Largely man-made. Judy, the Commissioner for Education in Borno, Inua Kubo, confessed that if the entire security situation is not addressed, we are up against a sea of trouble. But let me take this call from Lagos. It's coming at the instance of Moses. I hear you are here. Good evening. Welcome.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Moses Adini. I'm calling from Lagos.
All right, then.
I am happy to be part of your...
Okay, then.
Yes.
Let's go.
I'm happy to be part of this program.
Thank you.
The situation in Borno is such a pathetic one that many a times, for those of us that are reading from afar, most of us that are reading from afar, we just get disturbed about the development in that state. But I know it's not a thing that starts just today. It's been the fallout of the happenings of the backwardness of education in that state. But now we only hope and pray that God help our Nigerian military as well as security agencies to be able to overcome this issue in a good time.
Yeah.
But lest I forget, this program, one of my happiest days will be a day I'm able to stand face to face with Mr. Jide, because there are some issues I have in mind to discuss with him personally.
Sir, okay. If you want to see, if you wish or desire to see Jide,
So give us names
Mr.
and
Jide,
producers.
I so much appreciate the good work God is doing
please
for Nigeria.
speak with the producer. Thank you very much. Yeah, Jide, we can't run away from it. Congregating the students across Borno in 2 city centers, we must go back there, is also fraught with a little danger. Because population, there's an explosion of population.
Let me tell you, Boko Haram, already a lot of the schools in Borno State are not functioning. Boko Haram has destroyed more than 2,500 schools in that state. And Boko Haram has killed hundreds of teachers. So it's not even like, oh, the situation is that rosy or so good. A lot of the children are not in school. A lot of them have been orphaned already. So all that the governor can do to make a bad situation better is what I think he's trying to do now. Build schools in those areas that are a little bit safe. You go to places like Minok on the way to Yobe State, on the way to Damaturu. That area is relatively safe. They've inaugurated some schools in that area. But I recall that in December, Boko Haram went to that same town to kill our soldiers. So all he's trying to do is, okay, let's build schools. We are not going to fold our arms and refuse to educate our children because it's a time bomb. To not do that constitutes a time bomb. So all he's trying to do is let's build mega schools in places that are safe so that these children, we can put them in those schools that are safe so that we won't be able to say, oh, Boko Haram has succeeded in blackmailing us to give up on the education of our children.
Exactly.
I think that's the way the governor is thinking. And I will tell you, because I was watching one of the stories from last week, even in places, and he has also constructed houses for widows and other people. And even in some of those communities where the governor has given them brand new houses, people used to live in thatched buildings, now have modern houses of their own. they are saying, give us more security. They are worried. They are worried because this is a very unpredictable group that we are fighting against. You never can tell where they will strike next. The other day they came to Maiduguri, they came to a place called Jidari Polo, less than 2 kilometers to the government house. That was sometime last year. So if they can go deep into the state capital, people will be terrified. So if that action, the action that the governor has taken now, if it had been taken
before now,
before April 2014, there would not have been Chibok. But we left those children to write their exams in that distant place, close to Sambisa Forest. And these guys came in the dead of night, looted their food, and then took away the children. So this is it's like the governor has no choice now. Because, look, ransom payment, whether we like it or not, ransom payment that we are making to these guys will encourage them to go after more children.
Okay.
It's the fact.
And
so how do we frustrate them and ensure that they are unable to lay their hands on these children? Is the way to do that is to put them in areas that are safe. That's what the governor of Gombe did. Relocated those children from Malala to the Gombe State capital, and they were safe. Okay. That school that they abandoned in Malala, the federal government girls' college, till today, nobody has returned to that school.
It's a fluid situation, as well. Otherwise, we're saying cure, we touched on it earlier on, cure the cause. And that is going back to the drawing board, exchanging reports, what do you call it now? Security reports. Mm-hmm. All security agencies need to synergize because the answer, I know you cannot uproot insurgents in one fell swoop, but then you can break their wings, which is not what we're doing now.
Exactly. Just, I think it was on this same program we said we told the government, who was even doing a better job in 2015 back then, here Jerika, who pushed them back and almost finished the job until it was removed. And I know a couple of, with the Operation Lafia Dole coming in, some of the commanders, have been trying to get intelligence reports, and some have really, really failed, And I think the last one, I think Ibrahim Atairu, that was removed, he failed completely. He failed completely. Because that was when we were getting those attacks, those suicide bombings, and they were pushing and giving them.
I think even the governor admitted.
The governor admitted
that the current
commander is doing a good job. Nicholas is doing a good job.
It's the best that
they've had so far.
So although that statement did not go down well with
definitely it won't.
But that's the opinion of the governor.
Because he's the one that is wearing the shoes. He's the one that is wearing the shoes, so he knows where he's pinching. So,
he gets all the security reports.
Everything.
There's an attack on Damboa Road today. The governor will get the security report.
Exactly.
Nobody can lie to the governor about the state of insecurity in the state. The governor knows what is going on. If he chooses not to talk about it because, well, sometimes you just have to say what is politically expedient.
Exactly.
That's a different thing. But no attack goes on in that state, as big as that state is, without Kashim Shettima, the governor of Borno State, being told. So he knows the extent of this problem.
In taking this home, let's return you to the IDP camps. Something drastic must be seen to be done. Otherwise, it will be like a recurring decimal.
The most drastic solution should be people must be prosecuted for these wrongdoings. Because if you don't prosecute people, they even steal this food, the relief materials that they give to this,
cartel.
They steal. And in stealing, they still rape these women.
Last year,
so it's a very shameful.
When policemen and soldiers exchange gunshots.
Yeah.
You know, not far from the government house.
Overrise
It's just
meant
override
for IDPs.
For IDPs.
Yeah.
You know? And there's sometimes too, items meant for IDPs, freely donated to them. You find them in the open market being sold. How did they get there?
How did they get there?
How did they get there?
Tough questions for times like this. And spontaneous emotions will always clash with instilled emotions. So the debate will continue. All right, we'll go on this break, and when we come back, the federal government says it has no money to fix our refineries. What does it tell us? We'll be back shortly. All right, then, before we get talking about oil matters, let's take it back 24 hours, go back to yesterday on this program. We broached the subject of Mr. President and the National Assembly leadership meeting in a middle ground. And we came back with very favorable outcomes. Let's share this with you. Please watch on.
I think the president should try to show some flexibility. Flexibility not necessarily in agreeing to their demands, but when people like Bukola Saraki say, Mr. President, we want to have a meeting with you, the president should dignify him with his presence. He should let him have an audience. Yesterday, there was supposed to be a meeting between the Abdullahi Adamu group and the Abdullahi Adamu group and Saraki's group were supposed to meet with Mr. President, but Mr. President canceled the meeting. He said he had just returned from Dapchi and he was tired. So the meeting didn't take place. Bukola Saraki, no matter what we say about him, I'm not his fan. And I'm sure he has recognized me that I'm not his fan. But the truth is, he is making some moves to try and smoothen the relationship between him and the president. There's nothing we gain from this needless fighting between the executive and the legislature. As we speak now, nobody has passed budget. As we speak now, the president promised that he was going to tinker with his cabinet after he came back from London. No cabinet has been tinkered with. He said he was going to enlarge the cabinet, bring in more people. He is unable to do that because these guys are saying, look, until you sack Magu, no talk. We won't talk with you. So that is what is happening. So they need to agree. Both sides need to be ready to make concessions.
Otherwise, in government and governance, the big idea is not to be politically correct.
Yes.
You can't be politically correct.
And the good
Meet
thing,
somewhere in the middle.
The good thing is, shortly after the program yesterday, the president called the people concerned and they had a meeting. This is the sort of thing that we want. We want to be involved in building our nation. Talk about how our country can be greater, how our leaders can lead us the right way. So that kind of meeting hopefully will lead to something. Because Bukola Saraki was there along with other people, especially from the APC. Yeah. So they'll be able to hammer out a deal at the end of the day. It's the sort of thing that we want.
Otherwise, at this table, the viewer must understand at this table, we help mold opinion and lay the facts before you so you make up your mind. Now let's go talking about oil, or if you like, petroleum matters. Even the visually impaired will admit that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, is a cesspit of corruption. As the owners of all the refineries, 4 of them in this country, getting them going, if only to help in stemming the regime of importation of refined products, has become unachievable. The federal government says it has no money to fix our refineries. Gentlemen, we are in a quandary.
Yes. We
are in a quandary. And we are told by the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, the country consumes 630,000 barrels of crude oil per day.
Of course, what worsens it is the fact that you and I are not guaranteed 24 hours electricity supply. So in our homes, we still largely...
I hear cynics, there are cynics who would say if you have a 24-hour non-stop electricity, you start becoming suspicious.
Exactly.
It sounds crazy.
So we are used to we are used to not getting the good things of life.
Exactly.
We are used to not getting the good things that are taken for granted in other lands. It's unfortunate that we have reduced ourselves to this level, but the government has a responsibility to do what is right, to lead Nigerians in the right way. Talking about 630,000 barrels a day is quite huge.
Oh, yeah.
I suspected in December that it was just the truth, that the NNPC could not meet the needs of our people, the consumption needs of our people. And when you look at...
By being the only importer.
The only importer. And they were incapable of importing. The level of importation did not match domestic consumption needs at that time. So we had that problem. The problem has still not been solved because in many parts of Nigeria, people are still suffering. Now, if you look at the figures that the minister is talking about now, 630,000 barrels a day, then go back and look at what they told us in December that they actually brought in. You will now see clearly how we found ourselves in that problem that many people erroneously thought was caused by hoarding and all that. But naturally, as one of the world's largest producers of crude oil, it is a big embarrassment and a national shame that we cannot refine petrol. There are countries like Saudi Arabia today can beat their chest that they are the world's #1 exporter of refined petrol because they have refineries dedicated to refining for export. And
another one for
domestic consumption.
Yeah.
So they won't have problem at home, they won't have abroad. They will make more money selling refined petrol for people like us. For people like us. So the truth is we must find a way to solve the problem of these alien refineries. And what they are saying, remember when the NNPC's bill to the National Assembly was $1.8 billion for the turnaround maintenance of...
Yeah.
And people don't like hearing that phrase. Turnaround maintenance of refinery. People don't like hearing that because they know that it's an avenue to steal. Nothing gets turned around in the real sense. A few months after so-called turnaround, you hear that, oh, the fuel catalytic unit of a refinery caught fire. So you ask yourself, are people deliberately sabotaging the system? Now, if you look at Kaduna Refinery, despite all the efforts to put it in good shape, the NNPC reported that Kaduna Refinery actually refined petrol just in excess of 52 million liters.
I hear it's for the heavy crude, Kaduna itself.
No, I'm talking about how, because the duty in inverted comma of that refinery is to give us refined petrol. But the whole of last year, NNPC reported that Kaduna Refinery only refined about 53 million liters. 53 million liters in a whole year.
Yeah.
That's barely enough for us to consume in 3-4 days as a country.
Exactly.
And that's supposed to be one of our most modern, one of our newest refineries. Okay. So it's really perplexing.
So going around in circles.
Where do we go from here? Now the National Assembly is reluctant to approve the $1.8 billion they're asking for because they think, look, it will just end up like previous places. So they have to look for money wherever they can find it.
Asoko, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Dr. Kachukwu, is saying the only option to curing scarcity and queues at petrol stations would be to review prices. Have you heard that?
I think that one would be like
whether upwards or downwards.
Revise.
Yeah.
That word
If you say reverse, if you say reverse, I would probably think
Nigerians don't want to, as the economy is today, they don't want anything.
You consider that a hint?
It's more than a hint.
That is more than.
It's more than, it's like flying a kite.
Yes, it's just like he's trying to test the waters. And we already know that that is where they are heading to.
Very good.
And they shouldn't. Because Nigerians are already overstretched. The economy is not smiling. It was yesterday, I think myself and Tolu went somewhere and we were just counting the number of people that were using this small generator somewhere around here.
Okay.
You know, including a lady that is selling food. Because she needs to also, like, she can't use, what is it called? She can't use...
firewood?
No, what this rechargeable lamp to sell.
All right.
So she had to use generator to light up.
Oh, but you need a generator or electricity to recharge.
Exactly. But she was using generator so that she would be able to see a little small shop and all that. So that shows the need that Nigerians and the necessity of fuel in the lives of Nigerians.
So in one word, Dr. Kachukwu
he shouldn't think about that idea. They should not, because he shouldn't.
But he went to town with it. That's what I'm saying.
He would just that he has been saying it. Okay. 170. I've heard 170. I've heard 180. But we know that anytime they start that, they want to increase.
Yeah.
And the Nigerians will not be happy with this government at all.
I'm sure you have heard the joke. It's only in Nigeria that whatever goes up
doesn't come down. You know? So the best thing is for them to just hold on. I know the National Assembly won't even approve the 1.8 because so far they have spent close to 20 billion for their so-called turnaround maintenance since 1999. We've been hearing turnaround maintenance since 1999.
Dollars or naira?
Dollars.
I wanted to be
since
sure.
1999, we've been hearing turnaround, and nothing has.
Dangote does not need up to what they have spent to build
a new refinery.
Now, brings me to new refineries, especially what do you call them?
Modular.
The modular. Dr. Kachukwu is also telling us that the modular refineries is a stopgap thing.
Yes.
That they can only take between 5,000 and 10,000 barrels.
Yes.
So, and that Dangote's own
will solve the
600 barrels.
In fact, they will need like 600 modular refineries in Nigeria.
But okay, well, let's join Amos. He's in Kogi. Amos, welcome.
Yes, good evening.
I greet you.
Actually, it is my imagination that at this point in time, fuel problem is still lingering. In fact, the government came to power by saying that a liter of fuel will be 50 naira. And I thought that by now, the issue of fuel problem would have been over. But it's like there is no hope that it will be over very soon. So where are we heading to? And secondly, the issue of Borno State closing schools from the suburbs. For how long will that be? And then the question I want to ask you people is this. Is it that the insurgents are winning, these hoodlums, they're winning the battle, or government is winning this battle? You remember that President Buhari came to power on the basis of fighting insurgents. But unfortunately, what we are seeing today is like it's worse than before.
Yeah, okay. So we had dealt with the insurgency, but just as well that you took us back there.
I just want to go back.
Yeah, but let's fresh. Every issue is important. The petrol is equally as important as the Borno thing. Thank you for calling.
All right.
I was saying, the man has made a point. But I'm saying, when you say modular refineries, that Dangote's refinery can only handle 600 barrels per day. I'm asking.
600,000.
600,000, I'm begging.
Actually, the capacity is 650,000.
But does it go some way in
No, that's enough for us in a day.
Okay.
But you know too that.
That's in a day.
Yes.
But we are
to take
waiting.
care of our production, consumption needs in a day. But the Dangote that I know is a shrewd businessman. I don't think that he will enter into a sort of JV with Nigeria. He will do business with whoever it pleases him to do business with. So if you are from Lebanon, you want refined petrol, he's going to be ready to give you what you want, which means that Nigeria should not pile all his hopes on Dangote.
Because the man is in business.
The man is in business. He's in business, and I'm sure that
to make profit.
To make profit, I'm sure that other people would make all kind of demands, on him. We want you to do this. We want you to do this. So he can't just be there, principally to give us refined petrol. He will be doing other things. So that's why I think the minister made sense when he said, well, that allied to Dangote's refinery, the refinery is owned by government. They want to partner with the private sector to repair, rebuild, and maintain those refineries so that we can get refined petrol from them, get refined petrol from Dangote as well, and at the end of the day, we will be able to achieve supply equilibrium.
Yeah. Well, this is away from mainstream. Asoko, you hear that every now and again, quote, end quote, illegal refineries are destroyed in the country. You are asking, the man at the bus stop would ask naively, if that's a word, why don't you deploy those so-called illegal refineries to advantage? Why don't you use them to advantage?
Well, if the government feels that they are illegal, anything illegal is illegal, So the best thing is.
But they are refining.
What are they refining?
Petrol.
And do we know if it's the petrol that we are using? So those are some of the things they would have checked. Is it the petrol that we are consuming that they are really refining, or there's another product outside the crude that they are refining maybe for their own use? So for any time the Navy, the Army, or whoever, the security agencies go ahead and start destroying these illegal refineries, they have a reason for it. So we shouldn't always, like you say, the layman outside shouldn't think, why are they always, destroying these things? And I want to, the government is even going in the right direction right now, trying to make sure that these small so-called refineries can now be, legalized. They can now go into the business full time. State governments are going. Private individuals are going. They are just stopgaps. So if we have more modular refineries, I think we'll be able to get to that level that will.
Do you know, I'm quickly tempted to also talk about a so-called illegal mining, which is bringing money to people in this country.
It's just very few people. Because if you start a modular refinery today, you will employ so many people.
But you need many of them going by the figures, by what you consume daily.
It will give jobs.
It will give jobs to the people involved in it. And those illegal refineries.
Yeah, exactly. Because they can now employ them and put them into their company.
That's the vision of the government.
Of the government.
In all of those areas, we can have little
modular refineries.
So all these guys.
And giving targets.
Yes, all these guys who had been illegally refining petrol, you can now say, look, you can work in this government-owned modular refinery.
Exactly.
That's what Professor Shibajo said a long time ago, that we will get these guys busy working in the modular refineries that we are going to build in the Niger Delta.
And that is why they have been peace in the Niger Delta for some time now. No?
All right, we have a call from Canada. Alaba is here. Good morning, I dare say. How are you there?
Good morning.
Yeah.
I would just like to contribute to the program.
Go on. Go on.
Yeah. I'm fine, I'm good. I just want to say you guys are doing a great job. Just want to thank you. You give us updates of what is going on in Nigeria, and then you're so good, and everybody is saying good about the program.
Thank you so much.
I just want to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you too.
Thank you. Yeah, but this so-called theft of our crude is also a part of the, can we rub that in?
Yes, it's a big problem. Nobody can say with certainty how much crude we produce, how much crude we sell, because a lot of it gets stolen. If you know anyone who lives in One, for example, they will tell you, yes, where petroleum products get shipped out of our country. They will tell you clearly that a lot of ships, illegal merchants come in to steal to steal our crude. And in some cases,
do they come in to steal, or we have a collusion?
No, they connive with because they are thieves, because they didn't buy it legally. They connive with our own people to steal our crude. And in some cases, they exchange, even the militants are also involved in crude oil theft. And then they exchange stolen crude for assault weapons, AK-47s and all that.
So that's
it's a big problem. It's a thriving business. Almost as old as the discovery of oil in our country.
Well, Asuko, quickly, 30 seconds.
Yeah, just like I want to go back to the reps and the sex in the IDP camps. The federal government will have to, come together. They have to find a solution. We need prosecution. We need people to be prosecuted for wrongdoing.
All right. Again, this table will take a break for the weekend. We want to ask you, enjoy your weekend, but you may, if you like, send the bill to us, but that's on a lighter side. But we want to thank you for your time. That's it on the program for today and the week. This episode will be repeated at 11 this night. And of course, you know how best to reach us on our platforms displayed on your screen. Let me thank Asuko James for coming.
Thank you so much.
And Babajide Kolade Utitojo for coming.
Yeah.
So that's it. Please take care of yourself, and bye-bye now.